As human beings, we love to make sense of things by putting them in categories. We love to imagine what they're like and understand them by putting them in their right place in our minds, in society. One of the biggest struggles we have as human beings growing up is trying to find our place as adolescents in the world. Where do we belong? And even in adjusting to university, you're trying to find your place at UCT. Who am I here? What am I doing here? How do I move here? So in her work titled Metaphor as Illness, Susan DiGiacomo works through and shares the idea that the two categories we have been given to make sense of illness, disease, sickness is biomedical and psychiatric. The illness is either in your body or in your mind, and this has often caused us to overlook the fact that sometimes things cross over. Sometimes they're linked, sometimes they overlap. And when that happens, we do not know how to walk through that experience. We experience a lot of confusion. We don't know how to talk about it. And in this work, she speaks about how the mindful body paradigm is one that works to empower the ill. Instead of having to restrict your conversation, your experience to just mind or body, you're now able to think through it as both and how those are interlinked. She uses cancer as her working example. My experience has been with TB, and so I'm going to share that. Describing the experience of cancer include metaphors of fighting, of war, trying to make the patient feel as if they have this power. The metaphors associated with TB are more isolating. I am someone who, although I love my space and I am introverted, I do also believe that we function well when we are with other people, and so I do allocate a lot of my time to spend with people, being surrounded by them, even though I may not be necessarily interacting with them. And so when I got diagnosed with TB, I had to have a period of 2 weeks to isolate, and knowing that I wouldn't be able to go to a place where I can just sit, being alone but still surrounded with people to feed off of their existence as well. I don't know how to say this. Metaphors are so built into our everyday speech that it's difficult to speak about anything without using a metaphor. So what I would describe my choosing to be around people as I'm feeding off of their existence. It gives me energy. It helps me to know that, okay, I'm not the only one on this planet. To center myself and know, okay, there are people who are going through a lot of things. People watching can give you a lot of energy. It can inspire you, give you perspective. You overhear conversations, even if it's not for malice or to be disrespectful, but just overhearing conversations, people talking about their heartbreaks, people talking about the things they're excited about, people talking about their mundane, everyday duties. It helps you to center yourself, to know that, okay, this life thing is something that everyone has to deal with. It's something everyone is experiencing. Their experiences are real. Their experiences are deep and they are felt, even if they're not felt by me. In his work titled Failure of Will, TB Patient Narratives, and Susan Sontag's Illness as Metaphor, Byron Dixon talks about this narrative that is built through metaphors, through biomedicine, through postmodern thoughts on health and wellness. He speaks about how he put out so much information in the form of self-help books, health books about health, about fitness, about wellness, including how much variations of treatment we have available to us as a generation, and that all of this has kind of built this narrative that if you do get sick, it is your fault, which is something that I immediately questioned when I got diagnosed. I was questioning, where could I have gotten this? what did I do wrong? Who was I around? Was I not wearing my mask? Should I be more careful? Instead of realizing that this is something that happens, which is something that my doctors were explaining to me, that TB is something that people get quite easily. So it's not really a matter of what could I have done better. It is just a matter of, okay, now I need to just keep up with my treatment. And Susan Sontag pointed out in her work that this, I need to keep up with treatment, and the metaphors of war and fighting and strength used to describe the experience of having cancer. She felt that it put a lot of weight on her as a patient to make the treatment work, and that if the treatment was not working on her, then it was her fault. She wasn't working hard enough, her body wasn't strong enough, instead of it's just the treatment didn't work. And I feel sometimes we need to come to a place where we are realizing that it doesn't have to be the treatment's fault, it doesn't have to be my fault, it doesn't have to be my body's fault. It's just sometimes things happen and we're not happy about it, but they happen. I do not think that it is possible or even reasonable to completely eliminate metaphors from our everyday speech, especially when it comes to illness. They're trying to give you strength in a situation where they cannot actually physically help you.